Can you play chess? If your answer to this question is, well, I know how to move the pieces around, but I don't know how to properly play the game, then this video is for you. I decided to make this series of videos called Chess 101 to give you the very basics of chess and take you from a total beginner to a decent intermediate player. So in this video, I'm just assuming that you know how to move the pieces, you know how each piece moves, but you probably don't know, for example, the relative value of the pieces. And this is the first thing you should know if you are playing chess. And what I mean by relative value of the pieces is which piece is worth more than others, so you don't trade a lower valued piece for a higher value piece. So of course we have the pawns, and each pawn is worth 1 point of relative value. So keep that in mind. Every pawn is worth 1 point. And then after the pawns, we have the minor pieces, which are the knights and the bishops. These two pieces are worth 3 points of relative material. So if you trade a pawn for a bishop, for example, or a knight, then you are losing 2 points. So this is a bad trade for you. You are always trying to trade lower value pieces for your opponent's higher valued pieces. This is how you win material in the game of chess, and that's how you probably win games. So the pawns are worth 1 point of relative material. Knights and bishops are worth 3 points of material. But most people, most chess players prefer the bishops over the knights. So in most cases, if you have to choose between bishops or knights, you should prefer keeping your bishops instead of your knights. But there are some controversies to that. So relatively, the two pieces are worth the same. So we have 4 of those minor pieces that we say. So they are worth 3 points of material each. Second, after that, we have the rooks. And the rooks are worth 5 points of materials. So if you trade a rook, for example, for one of your opponent's pieces like the bishop or the knight, then it's usually not a really good trade. You are losing 2 points of material if you trade a rook for a bishop, for example, or for a knight. And finally, we have the queen. The queen is worth 9 points of material. So it's the strongest piece and the most valuable piece you have on the board. If you lose the queen, basically you lose the game. So keep that in mind, okay? So it's the second most important piece, actually, because the most important piece is the king. And the king has no relative value in material, because if you lose the king, you basically lose the game, right? It's checkmate. So it's an absolute value. There is no relative value to the king. The king is actually worth the whole game. If you lose the king, you lose the game. So just to recap, the pawns are worth 1 point of material each, and you have 8 of them. Then you have 2 bishops and 2 knights, which are worth 3 points of material each. Then you have 2 rooks worth 5 points each, and the queen, which is worth 9 points of material. So that's basically the count of points, of material points in relative value for the pieces in chess. So our idea here is to trade lower valued pieces for your opponent's more valuable pieces. So if we trade a pawn for a bishop, for example, if we can capture a bishop using one of our pawns, we are winning material. We have traded a strong piece for a weaker piece, let's say, and like that, you are just making your opponent's forces weaker, and this makes the game easier for you to win. That might seem too basic, but a lot of new players, they actually have no idea about that. So if you play a very basic opening, let's say Ruy Lopez, Spanish, we're going to study that later on. You develop some pieces, then let's say you play your bishop right here, and they attack your bishop with their weaker piece. This is a kind of move that you have to respond to immediately, because here your opponent is threatening to take your strong piece, which is your bishop, with a pawn, which is a weaker piece, right? It's a pawn. It's just worth 1 point of material, and your bishop is worth 3 points of material. So what you're going to do in this position is you're going to drop your bishop back. You can go ahead and trade the knight for the bishop because it's an even trade. There are some upsides and downsides to that, advantages and disadvantages. You just have to know all the lines. And there's a line where you actually capture this knight, you're trading a piece for another piece and they have the same value, relatively speaking. But you cannot just let your opponent take your bishop here with their pawn, because this pawn is worth 1 point and your bishop is worth 3 points. So you're going to be losing 2 points in this trade. So you have to drop your bishop back. In some cases, when you drop it back, they are going to keep attacking it. So in this case, you have to drop it even further back. And like this, you are avoiding your opponent from trading one of their weaker pieces, let's say the pawns, which are worth just 1 point, or your bishop that is worth 3 points. And this is one of the basic principles of chess, knowing the value of your pieces and not letting your opponent trade the weaker pieces for the stronger pieces. And you try to do this to them. And like that, you're going to win material, making your opponent weaker. And that's going to make you win games. And that's it for the first video of the series, guys. This is very basic. In the next video, we're going to talk about the principles of the opening in chess, how you start playing your games. You cannot do like any move. There are some moves that are better than others for a reason. And we're going to take a look at that. And if you like this video and you're new to chess, please consider subscribing to the channel, like this video if you liked it. And as always, guys, I see you in the next one.